Welcome to That's Not Why You Called, episode 31, a gaming edition. We do this from time to time, and Titanfall just dropped, and Titanfall is a pretty cool game from Respawn Entertainment, the team that was Infinity Ward behind COD 4, and this is their major release. It just released on Tuesday, did it not? Of this week? Yes, and it is now Thursday, so we are in the prime of the release week for Titanfall, and we figured, hey, Chiz and I are playing Titanfall. We'll play Titanfall for you and do a show. This is That's Not Why You Called Gaming Edition, where we're playing a game in the background. It's there for you to watch, but we do a regular That's Not Why You Called. It's like a podcast with a video game to look at.
Well, it is a podcast.
It is a podcast.
It's not like that's exactly what we're selling right now. It's a podcast.
So it's not like a podcast. It is a podcast.
It is a podcast.
It is.
If it's like a podcast, that's insinuating that it's not.
We're not a podcast, but we are similar to.
But that's exactly what That's Not Why You Called it.
It's a podcast. Got it.
We're just doing it with gaming this time because
Right.
we can multitask.
We can try to multitask.
We can try.
I don't know how it's going to go.
Just saying, I pulled second that last game. Pretty damn good.
You were second? Mother of God.
Yep. And I'm a level 2, just to say.
Yeah, Chiz just started. So we got a lot to talk about this week, and we missed some time here, and I apologize for that. There wasn't really anything I could do about it, but it was last week. Episode 31 was supposed to happen 2 weeks ago. It didn't, in part because Comcast had decided to have some issues with the oh god, Chiz behind us, I think. Never mind, not behind us. Comcast decided to give me some issues about the internet, and there were some issues in my area, and it resulted in me not being able to stream reliably. Now, I normally stream in 1080p, and there was a bit of a snafu on Twitter about this. Somebody was trying to tell me about the business that they treated me as though I knew nothing about. Kick you. But it wasn't just that because I'm trying to stream at 1080p at 12,000 kilobits per second. The problem with my internet was there was some kind of interference on one of the upstream channels that Comcast uses in the area. A lot of people were saying Optic were reporting similar problems, and that's certainly believable. I think
because they're in the same kind of area.
Yeah, in the western Chicago, and so here's the deal, right? And it's really cool. Like one of the texts that came out explained it to me, and it was really cool how he explained it. It was like one of those posts on Reddit where you read and you're like, oh man, Chiz, by the way, remind me, I have something about that with Bitcoin that I saw on Reddit. It was really cool.
Oh, okay.
And he said there are 3 channels or 3 groups of frequencies over which upstream is sent on internet carriers, right? Because Comcast is last mile, the big internet infrastructure, right? The big modems and switches that handle all the gear, they're handled by third-party carriers. Comcast doesn't really have many of those. And he said there are 3 channels, boom, 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 on a frequency range. And he said they were of width X over certain frequencies. I believe they're megahertz on the megahertz range. They're of certain frequencies of size X. 2 of them were size X, and up until recently, there was a third one that was 1/2 X. But the carriers decided, well, screw it, let's just double the 1/2 X size one to make it X, whatever size X is. Oh God, I'm hurt, and
Jesus.
And then we'll be able to double the amount of people that we fit on that thing. Well, the reason that frequency range was limited was because that gets towards a range where there's a lot of interference, and my modem was apparently trying to communicate on that frequency range that was trying to overcome interference, and it was just a luck of the draw, which was why randomly my internet upstream would become very inconsistent. And again, the reason I brought up 1080p and 12,000 kilobits per second earlier was it wasn't an issue of slow speeds necessarily, it was an issue of inconsistent speeds. Anything was inconsistent. 2,000 kilobits per second, which would look like dog shit in 1080p, although maybe not with the PK or with the That's Not Why I Called overlay, would look awful, and I couldn't do it because of the inconsistent stream. So that's the internet issue. It was a very involved technical thing, and I think it might be fixed. I've been streaming for the last couple days decently. Oh shit, that's a bad guy. Oh, whoa, I just landed in an explosion. So I think it might be fixed. Live streams, and that's not why he called, back on track. But again, during the time when that was an issue, I hope people can see there wasn't really much I was able to do about the issue. So
Can't do anything.
can't do anything.
What do you want him to do? He
What do
can't
you
do
want
anything
to
on the
do?
internet.
I can't make it off that I'm that I'm
It's like if I'm a car salesman and there's no cars in the lot, what am I gonna do? I can't sell
do you-
a car if there's no car there.
You look around, you put your hands up, you say, "What do you want from me?
Anyway,
What do you want?" I
and
thought
that's the lefty was doing. Yeah, his hand, his pecker in
Yeah,
his
what
hand
do you
is
want?
going, what do you want from me?
what do you want from me? Wait, why do I have my peck in my hand?
I'm just a guy. Well, you gotta do something. You got no internet.
I guess, but why do I gotta have my peck in my hand?
What else you
What,
gotta
I'm a
do?
social,
You-
I'm a sexual degenerate now. I can't even.
Well, come on, I've been
can't-
knowing you for several years. I know you're a sexual degenerate. What else you gotta do? You got no internet. You got no TV. You got no music. You got
Yeah,
no
I got
movies.
no
What
internet.
are you
How am I gonna do that? How am I gonna give myself a hand with no internet? What are we gonna do?
You're kind of a philosophical
What's the
kind of guy.
matter,
You try to
you?
think
What's
just
the
going inside
matter,
of your head,
you? You
figure
keep
it
it.
out.
You talking about things you know nothing about over here.
I know about you.
What are you doing over here? Pecking in your hand. You pecking in your hand. I'll put my
you-
pecker in your hand. How you like that?
I put my pecker in your pecker. How you like that?
That-
I dock your face to Mars.
Don't you? We're not docking over here. This is a no
We're
docking
over
station.
here. If we ain't got
No
internet, We
docking.
gotta do something for entertainment.
There's
boy,
no
and,
docking.
docking's pretty damn good.
There's a negative
It's
docking
very
area.
simple. I come up to you with
around-
$5, my pecker, your pecker. I dock inside your pecker. What more
I
do you want from me?
disagree with your. Oh shit! That guy just got killed. What's that? I disagree with your sentiment as proposed.
Well, you know, my proposal is kind of the best thing we got going
Well, your
on right now.
proposal
We ain't got no internet. We gotta
Can
do
go
something.
dock with your own dick.
What do you have on the table if we ain't got no internets?
I don't even know.
Exactly. Get your
I don't
pecker
even
out.
know. Well, that was
So-
an interesting open to the show, I think.
That was called two New Yorkers.
Yeah, two
One-
New Yorkers. I
One
shifted in
wants to
between.
dock, one doesn't want to
Yeah,
dock.
right. I shifted in between New York and a New Jersey accent, I believe.
I think I did that as well. you
Yeah.
know, Depends.
But hey, they're pretty much the same, right?
They're right next to each
yeah,
other.
they're
How do you
like
draw the
right
line?
there. Right? So
There's like one bridge that connects the two of them. I think. I really don't know the geography. East Coast.
So, by the way, we're playing Titanfall. Chiz,
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
played the beta, and you're now officially level 3. Your thoughts on the game? Ready to go.
It's good.
Give me your review.
I don't like that I had 35 gigs of compressed audio. Why not? Why not compress everything and then uncompress it on an installation? So it's 50 gigabytes of installation, but I don't have to download it all.
Yeah,
What if you have a bandwidth cap? That would have been like 1/5 of your bandwidth cap.
that's a pretty big deal. For those of you that don't know, the download on PC for console, I believe it was 17 gigabytes, which is still a chunky download. That's a beefy, especially for a multiplayer only game. 17 gigs is a pretty big deal. But on PC, when you download Titanfall from Origin, it's a 50 gigabyte file, 35 gigs of which 35 gigabytes is audio.
Yep.
Now, the reason it's audio is because it's uncompressed audio. But the reason their lead engineer, I looked it up, the reason they did that was because they wanted dual core machines to still be able to play.
Okay.
So the reasoning was from the engineer, he said, well, look, if we compress all this audio, a dual core machine is one of its cores is going to be completely eaten up uncompressing all the audio. Because uncompressing, just like compressing, takes CPU work. I'm sure Woody could explain it much better than I. But that's his rationale. And so, in order for them to minimize CPU devoted to uncompressing audio, they just said, "Screw it, we'll send uncompressed," and that will allow dual core machines to spend all what little operational strength they have running the game. So that's why it's uncompressed audio for Titanfall, 35 gigabytes. I thought, given how lame the campaign is, and guys, it's lame, and it's a multiplayer game isn't a defense. They've got a campaign, it's going to be judged, and it's fucking lame. But the reason I thought, I was like, oh man, what if they just put a bunch of things like it's essentially runs on audio. The campaign does. They are multiplayer matches, just like Chiz and I are playing now, set against a narrative backdrop created by audio files. And I thought, well, what if that's just like a really deep story that they're waiting to unlock with updates? While I'm not very keen on the idea of, well, there's a lot of content in your download that you have to get access to, whether it be by just a DLC or even free DLC. I thought, well, hey, what if that's it? That'd be cool, right? Okay, well then maybe the campaign might be lame right now, but maybe it won't be as lame. No, it's just uncompressed audio, so dual core machines will work. But it's cool, it's a cool concept, I'd say.
What, the audio thing behind multiplayer?
Well, no, just Titanfall in general. There may be issues with the campaign and with the idea of like it's a 50 gigabyte download, but it's a
telling a narrative through audio.
Well, yeah, telling a narrative through audio and just the whole thing. I mean, the wall running ideas, all that stuff.
I feel like though, what?
Do you have fun? Are you having fun playing the game?
I am having fun.
Goddamn right. It's the greatest game ever.
But I think they should have just not done that. I feel like, you know what you set out to make. You set out to make a really awesome multiplayer game. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's like when BioShock 2 added multiplayer. Like, every game has multiplayer nowadays. We got to tack something on. And
right.
Granted, the narrative may be really in depth. I don't know. I haven't played it. But it feels kind of tacked on in that way because you didn't design it really, or you might have because the audio goes around I don't know. I feel like if you wanted to do a campaign, you would have done a campaign. It's an interesting hybrid system, but you set out to make a badass multiplayer game. Counter-Strike didn't add a narrative to it.
Right. And that's the one thing though is that it's the campaign isn't really like that innovative. Mm-hmm. It could have been really cool,
right?
But it's just there's no point to playing the games, because like I said earlier, they are matches just like this, like this on this level. I think this level is an attrition one in the campaign, and you play multiplayer matches against people that are playing the other side of this figurative conflict between the militia and the IMC. And there's a story supposedly behind all the actions, but none of what happens in game impacts the narrative in any significant way.
Yeah, see, and with 35 gigabytes of uncompressed audio, I feel like they could have done that, and that really would have been intuitive. Like, all right, here's every realm of possibilities. They lose this game, this particular map, this match, they win this one, and then you have all these different stories. If you want to start a new campaign, you start a new campaign and hope you win or lose the different, and have all these different branches and stuff like that. Yeah. But the fact that you're telling me it just doesn't you can just suck every game and just listen to the narrative and find out what the story is about.
Yeah, that's all it is just listening to the narrative while you wait for the next multiplayer match to load. That's all it is. And what was do you remember the Xbox 360 launch title? Maybe somebody in the chat has it, that had an overreaching multiplayer driven campaign. It was the multiplayer. I think there was a story-driven campaign, but even the multiplayer had a campaign-like aspect to it, where every multiplayer match was impacting some larger battle between two factions. When you started multiplayer, you had to choose a side and then go play for that side, and I just kicked that bitch in the face. And then all the battles. Was it Battle Core something? Ah, shit. I don't
Red Faction, Guerrilla.
No. Oh, God. It had to do with mechs. It was mech-driven. That's all. Battlehound. Was it Battlehounds?
Everyone's saying Brink.
No. It was an Xbox 360 launch title. It was like it came out with the 360, or it was very. It dropped very soon after the release of the 360 itself.
I'm trying to think. Mag?
No, Mag was again after. Mag was again a cool idea, lacked execution on the graphics and mechanics side.
Somebody said Last of Us. Xbox 360 roughly launch title.
I wanna play The Last of Us, man.
I have it. I just I have to hook up my PlayStation 3 again. It's such a hassle with all the capture cards I have.
Yeah. See, I'd love to do like a Let's Play of it and show people like me getting scared and dying a lot. But even the PlayStation 3 is worse than the PS4, surprisingly, with the HDCP.
Oh, well, I mean, they're both bad in that they still haven't patched it in.
Yeah. But
They
I
haven't
mean,
patched a lot of shit in. You can't even play 3D Blu-rays on the PS4, but you can on the PlayStation 3.
was it Fayad? Is it MechAssault? Can you Wikipedia that? I don't remember what it was. I want to say it was Battlehounds or Warhounds or something having to do with hounds. I remember. The Dog Pound. Go ahead and
Doge.
subscribe. $4.99. You get welcome to the Dog Pound. You get to see the cool little overlay that I made in Photoshop myself. But anyway, that had that, and that's what they could have done with Titanfall, but they just didn't, and that really, really. I mean, it completely ruins any kind of impact a campaign could have. Really, the campaign is only a road to two very minuscule differences in multiplayer content. You get two mech,
Suck a dick.
two Titan classes unlocked. You get the agile, less armored one, and then you get the slower, heavier armored one. Which, okay, that's all you get. And there's really not a lot of.
I've heard that some people are. I'm sorry, I don't know if you're still talking about the campaign right there. Were you, or were you talking about? Okay, I've heard some people are complaining that there's not enough customization and stuff in the multiplayer, like not enough mechs and guns and stuff like that.
And yes, I think those criticisms are valid as well, especially considering that.
I'm just wondering if it's true since you played more than me.
Yeah. There's not a lot. It's not at all what we're used to. There's two SMGs, two assault rifles, one fully auto, one burst, one semi-auto battle rifle, and then two snipers and one shotgun, and of course the smart pistol, which
Just no one even uses.
So yeah, that's
Which is weird. What did they spend their time on? Like, is it the mechanics alone of the ability to wall run and stuff like that? Like, there's not a lot of customization. There's no single player, really. I mean, I guess a lot of time was spent with audio and voice actors. I don't know how many maps there are.
There's not a lot of maps. Probably what your standard COD gives you.
Okay.
But I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But the graphics are good, but they're not, we're not talking like they took a modded Skyrim and are like, we're going to make this in the engine.
Right.
So it's, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it takes to make the physics of wall running work. Maybe it's really, really, really hard.
Maybe.
But the fact that there's so little customization and personalization and just even depth in terms of combinations, when you talk about perks and kits and all this stuff, there's not a lot. And what's there is cool and nice, but if there was more, the game would last longer in my mind and would be worth the $60 title, because right now with a bad campaign that means nothing, literally it means nothing. You cannot impact the campaign at all. It plays in the background while you play multiplayer. That means they're like, okay, well, since there's not that, well, I hope there's a lot of personalization and customization, right? That stuff is really deep. Well, no. All we really have, we've got some cool stuff, and then we've got the Titan mechanics. Well, there's a lot of customization in the Titans, right? No, not really. So you've got wall running and Titan mechanics. Cool gameplay mechanics, sure, of course, really cool.
Burn cards.
And burn cards, yes. But there's nothing else.
I heard you can't even, like, I don't think I've unlocked it yet, but custom loadouts, you can't even name them.
No, I don't. I don't even know. But without a campaign, that makes the depth of customization and personalization, and even there's lack of cosmetic stuff. Cosmetic stuff is, I would take cosmetic customization, like COD Ghosts had bullshit cosmetic stuff. In a first-person shooter, what does that even matter?
Right.
But still, I was like, oh man, I want to put cool armor on my guy. I want him to look kind of cool.
I want my Titan in gold.
Right? I want to be able to choose the paint job of my Titan, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. and it's just none of it's there. And I would count that as depth, and I'd be like, well, okay, yeah, it's not really, it doesn't change the game at all, but okay, I can make my pilot and my Titan mine, and that makes me invested in the game, in the frivolous campaign, and in the cool multiplayer that doesn't have a lot of game modes and other things. So it's a really cool concept thus far, but there's not a lot of depth to it. And honestly, I don't think it justifies the $60 price tag.
Doesn't sound like it does. Sounds like this would have been a solid, like $30 would be as high as I would go, I think.
30. I was wondering how much it was Payday 2. Do you remember?
I think it was $30.
$30.
Here's the thing too, CS:GO, and that has a lot of fucking missions and customization, game modes, all kinds of things. That is a really in-depth game. But even like Counter-Strike Go, when it came out on console and on PC, that was like a $30 title too, either 30 or 25 on consoles. I don't remember. But they know what they are. We're a multiplayer game. That's all we are. Don't expect a campaign, and we'll keep build. And the benefit of a multiplayer-only game, when you tag it that way, you can add DLC, and really no one gets their panties in a bunch because they're like, oh, I only paid $30.
Oh,
I want my
double kick,
multiplayer
get the
experience
dick.
to keep
Sorry.
going. So I buy more garbage. Wow, the shotgun's OP.
I just absolutely destroyed 2 pilots, my man. That was amazing.
I just killed 2 pilots and a fucking grunt.
Nice. So yeah, so I would, you know what? I would liken this to Payday. I would liken this game to Payday because Payday 2 has kind of a narrative to it, not really, and there's nothing you can really do about the narrative itself. What the fuck? Oh shit! I didn't realize that was like a thing. So there's that, and okay, and there's a little customization. Outside of the masks, making your weapon yours, not a lot, and the gameplay is cool, but there's not it's essentially rob this bank, sustain yourself against waves of police, and see you on the other side, and you get money that doesn't mean anything after a while, and okay, but looking at Titanfall. In as little as I've played of it relatively, as opposed to a game like Call of Duty, I've put, hundreds of hours into those. This game seems like a Payday-esque thing in terms of depth of content. And imagine if Payday 2 wanted $60. Would you pay that? I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean, right? Maybe, but it's not it's not a definite yes and it's not a definite no. It's a well, it depends. Then it becomes well, how many games do you buy a year? Because a lot of people, is it worth it? I get it on Twitter and comments and videos. Should I buy this game? Well, how many games do you buy a year? Because we're what, a quarter of the way through 2014 or thereabouts? No. Yeah, actually, exactly March. A quarter. We're a quarter of the way through 2014. If you buy a handful of games a year, 4 games a year, no. Wait for a sale next year or during the holidays, or maybe in the fall. You can get yourself. You can get it on sale. But anything other than that, nah. Oh shit! There's a bad guy. Get off my shit.
Like if I didn't have the resources to buy a Titanfall, I wouldn't have gotten it. Like I would have waited. It's not like I was dying to get it. I mean, it's gonna be fun, but I couldn't justify the $65 for this thing.
Right. Especially because Origin, for some reason, is like, we're gonna charge you tax.
Well, it's because they have fucking physical.
That's right. Never mind.
Yeah,
because they've got physical locations.
Fucking stupid. Yeah.
What do they have? Like one store at their corporate headquarters?
Something like that. I know in Seattle or whatever they have a store. It's their corporate one or whatever.
Idiots.
But hey, that's a way to get tax.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I totally wouldn't pay for this game. $60 now. 30, I'd be like, all right. Yeah.
Right. But so if you buy one game a year and you've already, or excuse me, if you buy a handful of games a year and you've already maybe bought one game this year, full price title, I mean, if that's your limit, no, Titanfall isn't for you. Wait for it to come on sale. Well, but even then, maybe you really like shooters like this and you don't care about the depth. All right. But I would advise against it.
But it's a shooter with a not a lot, in all honesty. We've been over it.
This game doesn't have a lot of life in it, I don't think. Unless there's there's an aggressive content plan that we don't know about. How did that guy not die? Because there are games that Team Fortress, right? They release shit all the time for free.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's that kind of thing, if Respawn's going to do that, all right, the game could probably have a lot of life in it. But barring that, if they're going to want to charge DLC, may not be worth it. Now, full disclosure, I did get 2 PC codes from EA, but the version I am playing on right now, the version that is on my PC,
He bought it.
I bought it. So
Yep.
there you go.
That's the thing. He bought it.
So
He's
there,
allowed to talk all the crap on it he wants.
Yes. So that's where I am. I'm not paid to promote.
And if he was, you would hear it because otherwise he'd be in trouble.
I would be in trouble. Yeah, they would not. They would be upset with me if I didn't do that. And the FCC and fuck even YouTube might have something to say. So that's where we're standing with, because that's the big thing now. Boogie says all the time that he gets a lot of people claiming that he's being paid to say things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, all right.
Assume all you want, but if I am, you'll know.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like lacking or disrespectful to be like, I'm just going to assume that you're lying to me and you're trying to hurt me and get me to buy something that I shouldn't buy. Holy shit, there's a guy on my shit.
Honk, honk. Why is he in your shit?
I don't know. He's a scat man.
Oh, wow.
What?
I see what you did there. He's a scat man.
Yeah.
That means poop.
Yeah, it's gross. So, if you buy a bunch of games a year, getting back to what we were talking about, go ahead, buy Titanfall. You'll play it for a couple months. It'll be fun. And then, what's coming out next? What's the next big thing coming out? Watch Dogs, probably? May, right?
Watch Dogs is in May.
So,
I don't know.
what other big titles? The Division isn't even announced yet officially.
It's not announced yet. Bungie's Destiny hasn't got a date tied to it. Oh, Metal Gear Solid 5 comes out next week.
Oh, mother of God!
First part.
I want to play.
What's that being released on? Xbox One and PS4?
Xbone, yeah. And then I don't know if the PS3 and Xbox 360 releases are going to be staggered. But yeah, Xbone and PS4 as of for initial release. Yeah, I want that.
I really want to play it.
I want it. I was talking about it on Twitter, and I said I just want it on PC, not because I think it's going to be like, oh my God, I'll get the best experience on PC. I mean, for me personally, what I like, but I don't have an Xbox One or PS4, and I don't think I can justify spending $400 just to play Metal Gear Solid 5 on top of whatever else I have to get. Because if I go with the $400 PS4, I'm going to spend another $7,500 anyway getting things to strip the HDCP off of it.
Which, technically, illegal.
Technically illegal.
Well, it is. I know. Legitimate channels that don't put any PS4 content up because technically you are breaking. You're not allowed to do that.
You're breaking the DMCA,
yeah,
whatever it is. That is so stupid.
They're not going to enforce it because it'd be really shitty to enforce it and then patch the fucking thing, which they've already said they're going to. It'd look really shitty, but technically it is. If they wanted to fuck with you, is illegal.
That's so stupid. First of all, it's stupid because Sony announced even before, because the HDCP was the redheaded stepchild that they didn't want to talk about at E3. They were like, sidestep.
But they said like a month or 2 months before it even came out, it's going to ship with HTTP protection. I think that's redundant.
You're going to go to your ATM machine and get your...
See, everyone says that, and no one get the
RIP in peace. RIP in peace.
But what is it? They announced they were going to patch that, and when did the PS4 come out? November to December, January, February, March. 4 months now. 4 months now. And Xbox One also just got Twitch streaming Tuesday.
Yeah, Xbox One shipped with, or no, Xbox One was originally had Twitch, right? And it wasn't supported at launch, but they brought the Twitch app online, right?
Right.
But you know what? Props to Sony though, because they announced a partnership with Ustream before the thing came up, and they brought a Twitch app from not even being in contact with Twitch. They were in contract with Ustream, and they had stuff ready to go, and then they brought a Twitch app online.
Now, do they still have that partnership with Ustream, or did they get rid of that and go work with Twitch? Because I feel like I haven't heard anything about Ustream and PS4.
I don't know. The only reason I know what Ustream is because of the Ukrainian protests and Joe Rogan.
Really?
Yeah.
I used to watch it. That used to be where I'd watch a bunch of streams before Twitch. Most COD people streamed on livestream.com or on Ustream.
Does Ustream have a lot of cool stuff?
It's not gaming orientated. It's got some stuff.
Would this podcast be welcome on Ustream? No,
Probably.
we're happy
would.
with Twitch. I want a front
Twitch
page
is
Twitch.
better.
I want a front page Twitch spot whenever we go live. How do I make
Send
that
them an
happen?
email. Send them an email.
All right. Everybody, you need to like and favorite, hit the follow button, subscribe, all those things. Subscribe, $4.99 here and on YouTube, so that we can justify to Twitch a front page spot for this show.
I mean, to
whenever
get
we
into
go live.
that rotation, you don't even need that much. I see people on there with less than what we have right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
So I mean, send them an email. We may have to just. I don't know. I even see. As long as we talk about something gaming, I think we'll be fine. Or we can just game during it.
Right.
I don't know if they'll be like, you can have a front page ad every Thursday, but if you're not doing anything gaming, because I see shows on there all the time on the front rotation, but they're usually gaming orientated shows. Send them an email and find out. It's the only way you're gonna know.
Yep, I'll do it. I'm gonna do
He's
it.
gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it. I'll fuck you. You think I won't? You think I won't?
I think you won't.
Fuck. Well,
You gonna do it?
I'm gonna send her right now. Fuck you, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
live email
Yeah.
sent.
What do you know
Serious
about that?
business stuff.
What you know about that? This is really the peak of professionalism right here. Oh god, I was shooting at my own teammate.
Peak of professionalism. She's here first.
So, but since when is the federal government in the business of protecting
Whoa.
the copyright of private corporate? Like, we are going to arrest people that you say violate your copyright? What? How is that? Nobody sees anything wrong with that. When old, middle-aged women that have no idea that oh shit, all the things I downloaded from LimeWire to be in my iTunes library are bad. And by the way, now my computer has all these viruses. And then they get arrested and they're in court and it's like, what the? How did it get this far? That private corporations can use the government as their bird dog to sniff out and hold on to potential copyright violators. Why is who's that one guy, Kim.com?
Mm-hmm.
Why is he scared to come to the U.S.? Because he's scared he's going to get fucking arrested for copyright violation. What?
Well, he's a little. I wouldn't use him as an example.
Oh, well,
he's a big difference than the mother, downloading something off LimeWire.
but how? How is he different?
Because he's doing it on a massive scale, and he's profiting off of it.
Okay.
You're profiting off of somebody else's work that way.
Okay.
By sharing it illegally.
Okay. No. Well, it's against the
DMCA.
It's a civil tort.
Yeah.
Sue them in court. That's what civil courts are for. Sony, Universal, you got a problem with them? Sue them in court. FBI agents coming to his fucking door? What? No.
He said he's going to go public pretty soon.
That guy seems like a guy who talks like he's got. Oh God.
What? Go on. Say what you're going to say.
He's like, if anybody ever gave. I can't do it.
Do it.
He's like X-Jaws with a resume. Okay? There's a lot of things going on in his brain. Probably most of them really innovative or innovative. I'm sorry, I'm saying it like I'm going to start saying aluminium too.
Oh my God.
I love how they say aluminium and mobile. Oh my God, mobile. Oh,
Is that your mobile?
Yeah, I want to say that. Oh, I got this thing on my mobile. That's so fucking cool. But cell phone. But there's a lot of stuff going on in his brain. But you know what? Right, Mega's gonna take over the world. We're Mega. We're da 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 da. What is Mega? Just kind of a bunch of servers. It's like It's Mega Upload Part 2, right?
Yeah. That's what it is.
That's essentially all it is. But he billed it as like, oh my god, Mega! And it's like, okay, well...
But he's going to go public.
Right, and who's going to invest in a company that can be shut down when the FBI rolls into the data centers and takes all your shit?
As long as they're not in the U.S.
Okay, until whatever... Well, is he in New Zealand? Is that why he's in New
Zealand?
Zealand?
He's in New Zealand, yeah.
Good. Good on you, New Zealand. Way to tell everybody to go fuck themselves. Good. Good on you. I like that. So, there's that, I think. Wait, there's a pilot locking onto me. Where were you?
Pilot? Do you mean pilot from a plane?
Are you Justin Bieber?
What?
Did you see
What?
that? Did you see that? Oh shit! Titan just landed on me. Did you see Justin Bieber's deposition?
No.
Oh my! Just because the pilot, you mean pilot from a plane, reminded me of this one sequence. Justin Bieber, there's a video TMZ obtained from a deposition stemming from, I believe it was a reporter suing Biebs because the reporter is alleging that Bieber told a bodyguard to beat the shit out of him.
Whoa.
Which, yeah, Biebs can't do that, bro. But Bieber was being deposed by this attorney, and just being a douchebag. I don't want to link TMZ because I think some of the other things they do are just not cool. But this is pretty funny. There's one sequence just being a tool bag, and the other attorney is an asshole too, but there's a sequence where they want to get Bieber to watch a video of Bieber in public, and this is supposed to be, I guess, the altercation video, and the lawyer asks Justin, he's like, okay, can you watch this film? Can you turn and watch this film, please? Mm-hmm. And Bieber's sitting just looking like an absolute chode in a chair like this, and he's just rocking back and forth. And then he kind of turns, and then you can see the light. It takes a while. It starts out, gets dim, it dims for a while, and then it clicks, and he's like, that's a film? And then the lawyer's like, no, can you turn and watch the film, please? And Bieber's like, that's a film, sir? Is that a film? Is that a film? And he's like, please watch. He's like, no, that's a film to you? And it's because in his head, he's just, right? He's like Atticus Finch. He's just figured it out. He's like, I got him. And it's, oh, that's a film. And so he's just like, oh man, arguing semantics is totally cool. And I encourage you to watch the whole thing. The one I saw was edited. I don't know how long the original is. I'm assuming TMZ has all of it. But you get to, it's like 5.5 minutes of Bieber just being an absolute, just the worst kind of person. And it's pretty funny. So that's what I thought. Oh, pilot? You mean like a pilot from a plane? No. You're gonna land in Malaysia?
There you go. The pilot part from the plane was the segue to the plane stories.
Yes, we are. You broke this U.S. Airways stuff. Why don't you break it down for us, Chiz?
I did break it down.
Break it down. Break it down.
I don't have it open anywhere. Anyway, I think a U.S. Airways flight in Philadelphia was taking off, and during takeoff, they blew a wheel out, came back down to land, and it crashed. And
nobody dead, right?
Nobody dead. I don't think anyone's hurt, but the plane is like this. It's like, it looks like it rammed into the ground, but it had no front wheel, I think, so it probably just snapped off, and that's why it's like that.
Yeah, the nose gear probably failed, right?
Yeah. So that just happened. And it's weird. I listened to a lot of podcasts recently, like within the past week or two, where they're like, flying, no big deal. You know, the odds of it happening or crashing, billion to one or whatever. And then that just happened in Philadelphia. And then a week ago or whatever, the Malaysia flight just disappeared. Just fucking disappeared. Mm-hmm. Just gone. No one knows where it's at.
Yeah, that the Malaysia thing is really weird. They lost contact with it somewhere over the South China Sea, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, and they lost contact with it, but they believe the plane was still... Is that a dragon?
Yeah, and you can shoot them too.
Oh, cool.
You can shoot the dragons. Could you imagine the dragons?
What do you mean?
That's a band, right?
You're so gay.
Imagine Dragons, isn't it?
I don't think so.
I think.
Oh, I can ride the dragon?
You can
no,
ride
it's
the
a-
dragon?
No, I'm
Oh no,
running
it's a zip line.
Wire.
Oh, there you.
Oh, I didn't see what it was. I just assumed it was a dragon. That'd
Well,
have
I
been
just
awesome.
jumped up in the air and there's dragons in the area. I'm pretty sure you can ride the
I'm
dragons.
pretty sure a dragon. I just rode
Yeah,
it.
that seems reasonable. So, but they think it continued to fly.
Right. They lost contact, but they believe it was still flying for some time.
That's
And something about like 2 of the passports of the people on the flight were like stolen or something.
mm-hmm.
Or like, yeah, I believe they were stolen. They weren't terrorists.
But
so,
but Interpol came out because a lot of people were, oh my god, the passports were reported stolen, but they're not on there anymore, and da 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 da. Or the people whose passports were supposedly on the manifest weren't on the plane, so somebody else was using their passports.
Right.
But the Interpol reported that nobody that they are aware of had ties to terrorism of any kind. Last I heard.
Right.
Which is crazy. Did you see the thing from oh shit, boo, kick you, biatch. Did you see it was linked on Reddit. There's some database that follows the signals of planes in flight, and they show them as like little just little images over a map of the world. And it's close to real time because the FCC dictates that the information has to be delayed by like 2 minutes.
right.
And you see the exact moment that the Malaysia flight stops transmitting, or they lose
Really?
contact with it. Yeah, like you
I wanna
see it
see
flying, you see its designator, and it's going, and then it just stops, and it's just gone. And it's like, holy shit, somebody just, a lot
Turn
of
off
people,
the transponder.
yeah, a lot of people just went. And the weird story about all this, as I understand it, is that, or the oddity of this whole thing is that there's so many redundancies built into planes.
Mm-hmm.
Not, first of all, from just a functional standpoint, to keep the plane functioning as a plane. And I'm shooting this robot that has no affiliation of this war, but fuck him, he's a robot. Not only to keep the plane functioning, but to keep reporting data about the plane, so that if something does go wrong catastrophically, there's a record of it. People can find it, either search for survivors or start piecing together the big issues so that it hopefully doesn't happen again. But with this flight, all those things seem to have failed.
Right.
The transponder just, for whatever
off.
reason, stopped communicating,
Right.
and there was no radio transmission. There was no Mayday call. There was nothing. And there are phantom reports now of, like, I believe a Malaysian, or maybe it was a Vietnam military guy, who said that they may have seen the plane on military radar. Because for those of you that don't know, the transponder, like when you go up to the air in or go up to an air traffic control tower and you see all those blips and stuff, that's not an active radar. Those that is a beam or a mechanism searching for signals from transponders. It's not like there's a big ass radar on top of your local air traffic control tower that's actually sending radar and getting return signals off those planes and disseminating the data. Be like, oh, this is flight 5820, bound for Dallas. That is reserved, I believe, primarily for military, faction or not military guys or
Right.
the military. And so the true radar, like the active sending the signal and getting the return back, that's how if the transponder is turned off in a plane, you lose it on an air traffic control place or tower, but not on an actual radar that's at a military installation. So that's why it's a big deal for them to be like, oh, well, we had it on military radar, because it's like, well, then you could see it the whole time and saw what it was doing. Tell us what the fuck it did, because we
Right.
don't know, because you have all this data about it. You've got course, speed, altitude, and you're not telling anybody about it. So it's really odd. Have there been
Yeah.
conspiracy theories yet? Have you seen any?
Have Code drop what yours was in there again. I just glimpsed over it real quick because it was super long. Something about like it landed and then it was repainted or something like that. Some part of like the CIA electronically took it over or something like that. That's a cool one. But I feel like this is interesting and cool. But we're gonna find out like, all right, it was hijacked, and it crashed somewhere. You know, it's. It'd be cool if it was really cool. Something like that. I keep joking that they're going over the South Pacific or the East Pacific. That's redundant. I don't know what the fuck I said that for.
No, there's an Eastern Pacific. Why would that be redundant?
Yeah, you're right. I don't know why I was thinking from a California mentality.
You are the Eastern Pacific. That's you guys.
No, we're Western Pacific. West is to us, and then it merges into the East. You go west to east, right?
The Pacific Ocean ends at California, essentially. At least for North America. For America. Doesn't it?
West Pacific.
That makes it the Eastern Pacific. All right, anyway.
I was joking around that this was because when this happened, everyone took their mind off the Ukraine. So it was like, people were like, oh, now this happened, everybody's not paying attention to the Ukraine. I'm like, yeah, what's more cooler than some bullshit in the Ukraine or like the actual plot of Lost being reenacted in real life? Like the plane just disappeared. Come on now, that's fucking interesting right there.
Does that mean they're fighting the black
smoke monster?
Yeah. Is that what they're doing now?
That's what they're doing right now. And
all those Malaysians.
They're probably time traveling right now as we speak. They're skipping through time. Did Code put her thing back?
I see Code was speaking in the chat about how it was shot. Some people are saying it was shot down by the Malaysian government to kill some spies or something. And
here's another one that says it was hijacked by foreign terrorists for future use and is being held in Vietnam, North Korea. Several people conjectured the CIA electronically hacked it and used it in a false flag fake terrorist attack on U.S. soil.
What are they going to say? Like, oh, this is the 9/11 plane.
Yeah,
here it is.
That's like the Twin Tower conspiracy. You know, like, oh, they blew up one of our planes. Go bomb North Korea. But have you watched any of those documents? Which one is it? I think it's Loose 9/11 on Netflix. Go fucking watch that. It changed my mind.
You're a 9/11 truther now?
Dude, there's just so many things in there, like even little ones, like fuck the thermite in the paint. I don't even give a shit about that.
Talking about thermite paint.
But like things like, all right, when the president is having his meeting or whatever, not meeting, but he's reading to the kids in the kindergarten class or whatever. And during so they tell him in his ear that the planes have been hijacked. One of the towers just got hit. And like, I think one is going towards the Pentagon right now. And they let him resume his shit. That would not happen nowadays, or that shouldn't have happened then. The president would have been taken in fucking Air Force One at that moment and got him in the air. His manifest was published. They know where he was. They knew he was at that elementary school. You know? You're telling me the Secret Service is going to let him keep reading to fucking kids when everyone knows where he's at right now and a terrorist attack was just committed? Like little shit like that. Loose Change, 9/11. Awesome documentary.
You see, I don't...
Like the little things. Like I don't give a fuck about the thermite paint one that everyone gripes at. That's something to do or whatever. But like all of the little things, like, oh, there was this military exercise going over here to emulate something that exactly happened over here. And the nearest planes were told to go to the Atlantic Ocean at the time. Why were they there? There was nothing there at the time. Like all of this shit happening at once. And the guy who flew the plane into the Pentagon, he didn't crash that one too. He didn't crash it straight down and kill everyone.
Right.
He maneuvered it in a 360 and hit the only fucking wall that was fireproofed on the Pentagon. And he was like an amateur prop pilot or whatever. Like he wasn't people were like, he did a sharp turn and hit the one wall. You know, shit like that.
That's what is that? It's like a 2-minute video of a guy like summarizing what we're supposed to believe about 9/11. And one of those was that amateur pilot, he executed like it was some huge mile radius corkscrew turn that he was turning and descending at the same time, which apparently I'm not a pilot, so I don't know. Apparently that's a pretty advanced maneuver.
Like super advanced, like every pilot.
Really? But
yeah.
I don't you see, if that's what your if that's what not yours, Chiz, but if your argument for conspiracy, if your argument for, well, here's what we observed, here's the reason, like here's a whole bunch of things behind what we observed that explained that, and it boils down to, well, why? If it comes down to a why question, well, why did the president not get whisked away to Air Force One, and why did the Secret Service not jump on him at that exact moment in time, et cetera, et cetera? Why did he cock his eyebrow a tenth of a degree after learning about this horrible atrocity? Wouldn't your president not? But the thing that I think is the most questionable, and I'm just too lazy to actually read it because I'm like, fuck it, it was more than a decade ago, is the structural.
There's one. All right,
argument.
Building 7. Why did that fall down? And it's great because in the documentary they list all of these buildings throughout history that have burnt for like days and never just collapsed underneath them. But Building 7, not the Twin Towers, the one next to it on the south side or whatever it was, just had a little fire damage done to the top of it.
Oh no. It had one of the World Trade Centers hit it on the way down. There was like a 30-story gouge out of the front of the building.
But even so, that wouldn't. Why would? And then many hours later, it came down. And there are reports of people in that documentary where they were coming out and there was demolition shit at the bottom of Building 7 or whatever. Like, just, I mean, honestly, there was more proof in that thing. And there's like government conspiracy and stuff. Like, why wasn't this published? And oh, did you know the people that did the renovating for the Twin Towers was the same company that did the investigation on what was the cause of the collapsing and shit like that, shit like that. I just, I'm not gonna 100% agree with it, but I mean, it's pretty fucking good, that documentary. And I was like, well, I mean, I can't 100% say these people are crazy, and I'm not just like shit like that makes sense,
Again, my dad's a truther, and whenever we go out, whenever we meet up to have some beers, and the subject comes up, because he's done the research, and some of the worst part is that a lot of 9/11 truthers are very, very intelligent people, and they know how to do research. Fuck you, pilot, fuck you. They know how to make how to make eloquent arguments, and how to not twist facts, but kind of find connections and make those they know how to argue their points very well. Whatever their points are, they can twist facts to suit opinions with the best of them. And it's like, okay, but the best that I've seen, and I can't admit it because the dad's like, well, if you're going to counter it, well, read the 9/11 reports. I'm like, I don't want to read the 9/11 reports because, and I'm not a mechanical engineer or a structural engineer. I'm just not. I don't know how this shit works, and I'm not going to become a pseudo mechanical or structural engineer just to finally get you to say, oh, okay, well, maybe it's a little crazy that happened. But the best one, again, that I've seen is the discussing the floor trusses, or the floor trusses and where they meet the outer, because essentially because everybody knows how the Twin Towers were originally constructed, right? These are the outer tubular steel, and they're the windows in here, right? Well, if we turn it sideways on the building, there were little hats or little chunks of steel right here that jutted out, and then the floor trusses, boop, clamped onto those. And it was a really cool design. And then there was the hat truss atop it that was designed to, if one thing started to fail, if the floor trusses started to fail, it could redistribute the weight in different ways. But just talking about the conspiracy theory goes that given how hot even the 9/11 reports say everything got, that the cataclysmic failure is so out of the realm of probability, not possibility, so out of the realm of probability as to be completely ridiculous.
So
and,
I'm gonna
and I
ask-
can't counter that argument. I just can't. If there's any structural engineers out there that have a counter to that specific kind of argument, please in the comments, tweet me, write a blog, something. Something
blog.
I can if I can sound even more like an engineer, if you got some terms I can throw around. Because the big one is oh god, what is it? Safety ratio or something like that. What is it called? Fuck. It's a scale that a building is never supposed to go below 2.00 on some safety ratio or something like that. Most buildings are designed to be 3. I don't know how they calculate it or whatever, but that's the one. Sorry, Chiz. Yes, your counter.
So here's another part that let's 9/11, but let's get away from the Twin Towers. But United 93, the one that went down in Pennsylvania. I think you can kind of agree that one didn't just crash. I mean, like this Malaysia thing, unless something actually did really cool happen, we're gonna find a plane, and no matter how bad that fucking plane crash was,
Wait,
we're
something
gonna find
really
a hole.
cool? What are you talking about? What cool could result
Like
in this?
Lost, or it was
That
some
wasn't
kind of,
cool. That was
that
traumatic for all of them. They
very
didn't.
fucking cool.
I don't think they liked it.
They wanted to go. Then why did they want to go back to the island so bad? so many
Because the
times?
writers were awful on that show.
we have to go back.
Of course they wanted to go back because it's like, oh my god, it suits our stupid narrative.
Or the CIA took it and put it in a wormhole. Something cool, but if it crashed, which that sucks, you're going to find a hole somewhere. You're going to find an engine part somewhere. You're going to find something. The United 93, there was no gasoline at the crash site. Gasoline, jet fuel at the crash site. There was nothing. There was like papers miles away. There was no hole. There was nothing. It was vaporized, which is what happens when a fighter pilot shoots a plane out of the fucking sky.
But
Like that one, there is no evidence to support that. The only evidence to support the case that it crashed was there's a hole in the ground. That's it. And not even a hole.
Right.
Like, I mean, it looks like that is not like something fucking really hit it. It was like a mild crater, if that, with dirt. That's it. It wasn't true. There wasn't seats. There wasn't bodies. There wasn't anything. No bodies ever found. There's nothing to show that there was a plane. There's less evidence to support that it was a plane crash than it being shot out of the sky. And just from the fact that there's no plane crashed there, you know? All you got is a hole, and you go, plane crash there.
so you're like Walker, Texas Ranger. You put the soil in your mouth and it's a plane crashed here. But and you know what? And that's the one where I'm like, well, yeah, of course they shot it down.
Yeah. You know, it was
Because
heading towards...
at that point,
Yeah.
it's in the air, flying around, won't respond to any kind of hailing of any kind. No, you shoot that motherfucker down, of course.
Especially after 3 planes at that
Yeah,
point already
but
fucking crashed.
To me, that's not conspiratorial. That's just we don't fucking and all this bad shit just happened because my point is this: you can still have a world in which the 9/11 attacks were perpetrated by religious zealots. And just a bunch of guys, a group of guys that had a plan and a bunch of things worked out in their favor, and they committed these atrocities. And also, the government in the response of all those things, or in the wake, shot down a plane that was also hijacked that wasn't responding to signaling,
Which
or of
they
any
might have
kind.
lied about
and
and
that
just
world
denied
can
just-
still exist.
Right, and they go, well, why do they lie about it? Because it still kind of looks bad to shoot down a plane, especially when I don't remember if there's any proof. Because I also watched the movie United 93 way back when they actually, you know that story. Everybody knows they took over the plane and then it crashed. You know, so it looks bad if they did take over the plane and then it got fucking shot out of the sky by the government. So that's probably why they wouldn't fess up to it, and they just. It crashed.
But
you know?
also, if a group of civilians takes over a plane and the pilots
it's
are killed,
still
right?
not good. Yeah.
Do they know how to work the radios? Do they know how to fly the jet? I mean, I'm assuming. I don't know. I'm assuming even all that's very complicated, unless there's a protocol in the design of a passenger jet where it's like, listen, we need to make the radios really accessible, just in case this happens. So flying the plane still got to be very difficult, and it's very intricate, and there's a lot of buttons and switches and levers and all that
By the way, that's never happened in the history of aviation. There's never been a scenario like that in airplane, or what we're talking about, where someone has had to talk a civilian or a non-pilot to land a plane. They can do it, but that scenario has never happened where both pilots are incapacitated.
Right. But they plan for everything, right? There was a way there were all kinds of redundancies in the Apollo program to, we don't know what could happen, but if it does, here's this thing. And so maybe is it true? I don't know. Are the radios designed to be really accessible, that somebody just put it to your ear and talk, and then we can talk to somebody? And at the very least, because even in 2001, the autopilot software was smart enough to land planes. They could take off, fly, and land all on their own on autopilot, and not the Honeywell special design shit that conspiracy theorists talk about. Just the autopilot itself was smart enough to do that. Pilots hated it. They didn't like trusting their life to a computer because they can do it better, but they could do it. And so maybe the thinking would be, hey, let's just make it really accessible to get on the radio, and then we will tell you to flip this switch, flip that, turn on the autopilot, sit back, don't touch a goddamn thing. If that's the case, all right, then something might be amiss there. Then you've got a little bit of water being held by your theory there. But if it's no, the radios are just as complicated as deploying the landing gear, then okay, then you've got a bunch of civilians that are blind and deaf and dumb. They've made the plane blind, deaf, and dumb, and they don't know how to fly it. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be conspiracy, because that's the cool part about reasoning and all that stuff. If Stephen Hawking, there's a great book. I've got it. Oh fuck, I forget where I have it. It was his most recent book, and he talks about using different models to describe things that we see. And it's perfect when we talk about conspiracy theories, because it's pretty much the same thing. A conspiracy theory is an alternate way to describe what we observe. We observed 9/11, and we observed all the things that happened after 9/11. Well, there's one way to describe it, which is very popular, which is just, oh man, a lot of religious zealots that were very well organized and had a lot of hate in their hearts and were very, very, very dedicated people, did some really bad things and got quote lucky. Oh man, I almost kicked that guy.
Some damn luck right there.
But there's this alternate way of viewing and interpreting what we observe, and it's all an attempt to explain what we observe, just like religion at one point was an attempt to explain what we observe. Why are we here? Why does this happen? It's an attempt to explain all those things. And Hawking's reasoning was, look, if you have two separate ways of explaining things, but one way of explaining things requires a huge amount of exceptions, right? You have to go, well, but maybe this, that, and if that model has to make exception after exception after exception to describe different things, then it's too cumbersome and is probably wrong and should be abandoned in favor of something that is easier to use to describe things. And so I find it, my point when I'm arguing 9/11 or 9/11 conspiracies isn't to prove that they were angry Taliban or Al Qaeda that actually did it. It's to show that, well, both of these things can exist, right? Both interpretations can be true, but this one interpretation, the conspiracy interpretation, needs a lot of things. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things going on there that need to be just so in order for it to work. And there need to be exceptions made for a lot of things that we've observed after the fact. And I find that more cumbersome and thus probably wrong when viewed against, well, it's just angry people that were very angry and very organized and had a lot of time to be angry and organized, and the CIA and the FBI were fighting over territory in reporting intelligence to the other areas of the executive branch, and that is how and why those people were able to do what they were able to do: enter the country surreptitiously, take piloting lessons, etc., etc. It's not some grand conspiracy. It's a perfect storm of things going wrong. And that to me is easier to explain and requires fewer exceptions. And that's how I try to approach, that whole argument. But again, there's whenever I talk with my, because he's done the reading, and I am not in a position to challenge those things, those numbers, and that seems like the best kind of argument to make for the 9/11 conspiracy. Not, well, are we really to believe that this guy made this turn? Well, maybe. I don't know. Maybe he played a lot of video games. Maybe he did. Maybe he had some kind of understanding of like, oh, this is how a plane will react when I try to do this, or any number of things. But anyway, that is.
I would like you to watch this documentary.
I'll check
and see if it changes your mind or anything, or puts some new ideas in your head. Because I thought they were crazy, and the only thing I always felt kind of truthful about was the United 93 part, like about it crashing. It didn't fucking crash. But then I watched, I was like, there's a lot of exceptions or coincidences here. And yes, you can, that's the whole thing with conspiracy theories and why people believe them. Like, wow, this is really strung together beautifully for my bias, but I didn't have any bias going into it. And I watched them like, smells kind of fishy.
I want an honest engineer to be a 9/11 truther, but I don't want him to be a 9/11 truther. I want him to be like, I'm an engineer, and I don't like this. I hate this.
The only thing I didn't like about it was, all right, so they did spend some time on the thermite part, and when they did, the person who was the engineer or whatever, he got his degree at one of those Mormon colleges. I forget the name of it, but I was like, this doesn't discredit you or anything, but it just doesn't feel as well as like an engineer from just a standard school. I was like, oh, that's a Mormon university.
Right.
But it just felt off.
I want somebody, what's a good engineering school? Purdue University. I think that's still a really good engineering school. Or the University of Illinois. Somebody with like a mechanical engineering, nuts and bolts engineering degree to come out and say, look, here are my credentials, and I'm going to explain the science behind this. I'm not going to politicize or editorialize my points here. I am going to go through the nuts and bolts science of the collapsing towers. And that's what I want. And that, because a lot of the I hit my neck broke. A lot of the conspiracy that I've heard is, guys that are engineers and stuff, but here, I'll put it this way. Chiz, when Ken Ham was bringing up the videos of those engineers and scientists who are also creationists.
And they were from legit universities too, which was kind of scary.
And it was scary to you, was it not? Because didn't that not, even if it was a little bit unfair, did that not invalidate whatever science they might do in your mind? Did that not make you like, oh man, like I want to believe the science you have or you do, but with all the things, with all the things you say and your religious beliefs and how heavy-handed you are about all these things, you seem like a crazy person. Right? And I don't want to, it's not that I'm in a position to challenge your science, but just from I feel icky believing, right, the perfect word. But because of that stigma that you've aligned yourself with, I feel icky accepting your science. So, and that's how I feel with some 9/11 truthers. Somebody said in the chat that I should check out Engineers for 9/11 Truth, but something tells me that there's going to be a lot of political
bias.
Right. There's going to be a lot of editorializing going on there, and I don't want any of that. I want a cold, hard description using words and math that I can't understand to explain, yes, this is possible, plausible, not possible. That's all I want. Because there are other people who make good engineering scientific arguments for the 9/11 collapses, for both the Trade Towers and World Trade Center 7, for those being legitimate. It's just like, right? What's the most common one? Oh, the fireproofing on the floor trusses was 1, 40 years old. Or 30 years old. 2, didn't go up high enough. And 3, when the planes hit them doing 300 knots, the fireproofing was completely blown off and pushed to the and just scattered. And then when you had all the office supplies gathering in the corners and on the sides of the building, the flames got a lot hotter than just the jet fuel alone, and that started to melt the steel, which caused the hat truss to try to redistribute the weight, but it tried to redistribute the weight to the side in which the fucking planes had crashed through the building. And then all of a sudden you have a catastrophic collapse. That's your scientific, plausible explanation of what's going on. But even those people can't help but take pot shots at the crazy people, or who they believe to be crazy people. And at the same time, when I read, I'm like, just don't do that. Make the scientific argument. Let the science speak for itself, and I need to find that.
Yep. Anyway, he's going to check out Loose Change 9/11 at some point and see if he changes anything. Another documentary I watched, Mitt. I watched a documentary on Mitt Romney.
Did you like it?
I really liked it, but at the same time, it felt like, I mean, he's just a normal dude. He wasn't trying to screw anyone. He was the victim in the whole thing. Because
victim of what?
Just the media, like flip-flopping Mormon. He was just, it shows, because it starts.
Wait, he was a Mormon?
He's a Mormon, yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't know.
Yeah. So it starts off with him losing, basically admitting the loss of the most recent presidential nominee thingy, and then it goes back to where he was running the first time for the what's the name of the party?
Republican.
Yeah,
the Republican nomination.
Republican nomination back when McCain got it the first time around, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to do this again," and then he did do it again. Obviously, it was pretty damn. I really liked it. I felt for him. He's just a dude at the end of the day, but at the same time, I wanted to see like one of these done for Obama. For his, 8 years of running, because I feel like it would have been the same thing, like just a dude, and I've heard many times people talk about politics like it's not personal at any time. It's just that's the job. So I don't know. It was a pretty good documentary. I still wouldn't have voted for Mitt Romney ever, but at the same time, in a parallel universe, it'd be interesting to see where we were if he was in charge. Be interesting. I didn't say better.
Well, right. I'm just. I want to know how. I want to know two things about the next president, and this could actually entice me to vote if they make their cases properly. I want to know their stances and their exact plans for dealing with the NSA spying and just the degradation of the constitutional rights, particularly the Fourth and Fifth Amendment, and even the First Amendment at times. I want to know what you're going to do about that.
But at the same time, the Supreme Court really needs to get into it because, I mean, beyond unreasonable search and seizure, that's what the Supreme Court is there to define the Constitution. What it is, the NSA, has that even been ruled yet? Do we know where the Supreme Court stands on the NSA? Because if they give it the green flag, there's nothing really you can do on it. You can revisit the issue, but same thing with pulling over random drunk driving checkpoints and stuff like that. I don't know if that's been ruled over by the Supreme Court.
It has. The Supreme Court, the Supreme Court ruled on it, and they were in favor of them, but in very narrow circumstances. Hardcore anti-drunk, like the mad cows.
Right.
Actually, that's a really fun. I'm gonna start calling the fat old broads in mad. I'm gonna start calling them the mad cows.
It makes sense.
They like to be like, see, the Supreme Court is all in favor of because there's such a huge potential health hazard or public health hazard or public hazard because of drunk driving, so they need to stop it, and they understand. But what the Supreme Court really said was, yeah, they're constitutional if the searches are random. If the searches are completely random, then that's a reasonable suspension of liberties. But if they're just stopping every car, or if they're just stopping, some stupid number of cars, then no, it's not. It was a very narrow ruling that said that they were constitutional, as I understand it. Again, I could be completely wrong, but as I read it, it seemed very narrow in scope, kind of like the Obamacare ruling that they said, well, in this specific case, it's a tax.
Right.
That kind of thing. But I want to hear that, and I want to know what they're going to do. I want to hear a presidential candidate say they are going to direct the FCC to reclassify broadband ISPs as either common carriers or something, or we're gonna rebrand, relabel the internet as not as a luxury item. It's going to be
Utility.
yeah, it's a utility, or it's telecommunications, because right now it's not listed as telco or as telecommunications, so they're not subject to this same stuff, which is why DSL service, I read this post on Reddit, the reason American DSL service was so good when DSL was the big thing, when using phone lines to communicate for the internet.
Right.
The reason the United States was so far ahead of that was because, again, they were communicating over phone lines. Thus, DSL was considered telecommunications by the
Right.
FCC. So
They signed that huge Telecommunications Act of like 1992 and gave them a fuck ton of money.
exactly, and they said, "Look, we're going to give you this fuck ton of money, but you got to do all this."
Structure amazing. Yeah.
Right. We don't want to hear about, oh, well, it's not profitable to bring these people. No, fucking do it. We're going to subsidize your business. You're going to do it. But they just haven't done that with broadband, with what is now traditional broadband. And I want to hear what somebody's going to do about that. If you're going to say, I'm going to first day, I'm going to direct the FCC, which is an executive agency, or administrative agency, I believe, under the power of the executive branch, I'm going to direct them to do this. All right. I want to hear that, because the broadband issue in America is a big deal now.
Mm-hmm.
Big deal. The FCC, like, have you heard what the FCC defines as minimum service?
It's piss poor. I forget what
3
it is.
megabits up, 756. No. 3 megabits
Down. Yeah.
756K up.
Mm-hmm.
That's minimum in America.
Yeah.
That's atrocious. Just wrong. Just fucking wrong. This is driving's a privilege. No, driving isn't a fucking privilege anymore. Driving is the way a lot of people do business. Driving is a right.
It's a right. Yeah.
The internet is as ingrained in our society as everything, probably even more than television is right now.
Yep.
It's a right. It needs to be treated as a thing that you don't fuck around with, and as a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I want to hear from presidential nominees. I want to know. Are you going to do anything about this or that? Holy shit! What's wrong with that guy? Did he disappear? Oh shit! No, he's still alive. What the fuck?
Hey, there's Lefty dancing.
Yeah, it's me.
Oh, it's over. Yeah, I don't see that happening though. I feel like even in 2 more years, that'll be when the next one is.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe years when they start campaigning and stuff. It's still too soon. Still too many old people. But the big ones always, and for a while, it's going to be foreign policy and jobs locally.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that.
Uh-oh, the internet is being wonky.
What internet's being wonky?
Mine.
Are you dropping frames?
Yeah. It's returning now. It's
Looks fine
returning.
to me. Oh,
No, you'll see it in a bit.
I see it. All right, it's gonna return though. It's okay.
It's fighting. I don't know.
There we go. We're back. Hello, internet. They heard you talking about them and they flipped a switch. So,
Right?
fuck you.
Oh, come on now. Don't do this to me.
Well, to talk about a lesser subject during this time of possible in and out, Stallion83 hit 1 million fucking gamer score finally.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Fucking 8 years, I think.
Uh-huh.
8 years. Following that dude for 7 years. Did it last night in Titanfall.
Oh, did he? That's cool.
Yeah, on his white Xbox they gave him.
Yeah, it looks like it looks like the same issues have not left me.
God damn it, Comcast!
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sucks really bad.
Why you be trolling?
I don't know, man. This is pretty upsetting.
Just trying to do a show. It's been a fucking awesome show. And now you're gonna come and shit on us when we start talking about changing you into a utility that the government can oversee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to return to stable. I'm dropping crazy frames now. Probably going to have to end the show there if it's not going to come back again. Here, I talked about it, I believe, during the pre-show. It's not just that we'll lower the speeds. it's completely inconsistent, and that's not good for sending video. Even right now, the inconsistency is probably resulting in very choppy video and choppy audio for people watching live. And I'm very sorry about that. There's nothing I can really do. So we're going to probably have to end it there. I got to get on the phone to Comcast. I got a guy I can email now.
Oh.
But yeah, sorry. I'm really sorry to everybody watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hit the follow button. We do this every Thursday. That's not why you called. Not always gaming. Sometimes we just have a backdrop and we just talk about stuff. But if you guys are enjoying the gaming stuff, hit the follow button. Watch it on YouTube. Hit the like button. Let me know. And all that good stuff. Thank you guys for joining. You can subscribe $4.99 to the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/lefty643. Donating is also accepted if you want to help us get to a second PC for a 2-PC streaming setup to bring you 1080p 60 frames per second, hopefully with not shitty internet. Yeah, that's a thing we can do. If you want to donate, go ahead and do that below the video player. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you, Chiz, for coming out. We'll see you guys next week, hopefully Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I got to call Comcast, hopefully get it worked out by then. Thank you guys for joining. I hope you enjoyed. We are out. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.